So nice meeting you all. My name is Maisa Porta. I'm the Business Development Manager for North America region at the Federation of Israeli Chambers of Commerce. The chamber is representing today around 5,000 companies from all Israel across all sectors, importers, exporters, and I'm a part of the international division that helps companies in their global activity and goals. I'd like to welcome you all to our event, Smart Building, which will deal with Proptech and Contech technologies and the Arizona real estate market. We will try to have during this event a more open discussion, more engaging. We're looking to hear from you and want you to ask questions and be part of an active discussion. We will also leave some dedicated time at the end for it. We're holding this webinar with our partners from Arizona in order to better understand the real estate market in Arizona, to try and think together on synergies between our markets. Where can Israeli innovation integrate in the growing market, which is already a home to a lot of PropTech companies? To do so, we have today speakers from Arizona Commerce Authority, Arizona Israel Technology Alliance, Proptech 360, Arizona Real Estate Association, and Israel Contech Community. We also have 4 companies, which I think I can truly say that are market leaders in their technology and their scale and the activity of both in PropTech and Contech sectors. So now I'd like to invite Kevin O'Shea, Senior Vice President of International Trade from Arizona Commerce Authority, and then Mara Pernik, the CEO of Arizona Israel Technology Alliance, to say some opening words and present their organization. Please.
May, thank you very much. And thank you to the Federation of Israeli Chambers of Commerce for organizing this and doing all the heavy lifting. And we're delighted to be participating and co-hosting. Our organization is the state of Arizona's economic development entity, and we are pursuing economic development relationships with Israel in a variety of industry sectors, including aerospace and defense, water technology, ag tech, and in a lot of the innovation sectors such as PropTech and FinTech as well. And we're looking to enhance collaboration and cooperation and economic and technology exchange between Arizona and Israel. We have a trade office in Tel Aviv. Our director of that office is on this call, David Yari. He's based in Tel Aviv, and we're delighted to be participating. Thanks very much, May.
Mara?
Great, thank you very much. Wonderful to see everyone today. My name is Mara Pernik, and I'm the CEO of the Arizona Israel Technology Alliance. And we work very closely with our partners at the Commerce Authority. Our mission is to assist Israeli companies as they're looking to expand to the United States and specifically Arizona. And we do this through helping to make key business introductions, helping to create strategic alliances. And again, it's very nice to see everyone here today, and however we can be of assistance to you and your company, we're more than happy to do so.
Thank you, Mara. So just 1 minute before we move onwards, I'd like to acknowledge a few people that are here in the crowd. We have Darina from the MFA, the Israeli Consulate in Toronto, that is also working a lot on the PropTech and Contech sector, and Orna Avraham, the Economic Attaché of Israel that is located in Texas. Thank you for joining us. So I think that the first thing I wanted to understand while working on this webinar is what is the difference between Contech and PropTech. So just to draw a clear line between PropTech and Contech, PropTech refers to technologies that deals with phases such as buying, renting, selling, managing, designing of a private or commercial building. Those are post-construction activities, while Contech is referring to the technologies that can integrate in the planning and actual construction of the building. The tasks that we are looking on Contech could be safety measurements, architecture, new materials, construction and site management, and basically every aspect of a project that takes place before we hand the keys to someone else. And there is a trap. There is a point which PropTech and Contech both come to action. So I'd like to ask Aviv from Proptech 360 to talk about this exact intersection and present her activity.
So first of all, May, thank you very much. David, Kevin, nice to meet everyone. And I see some familiar faces from previous PropTech and Contech a delegation that was just in Israel, which is very nice to see. My name is Aviv, Proptech, a founder of Proptech 360. Basically, a few years ago, we saw the need in Israel to connect different owners, operators, players from the industries, VCs from all over the world to the ecosystem in Israel. And we decided to found Proptech 360. I have to say that I'm looking now and I see some familiar faces and some not. And if I was going into a room a few years ago with the Proptech scene in Israel, I would recognize everyone, which is very delightful to see how the ecosystem really grew. And when we talk about Proptech and Contech in Israel, I think, first of all, some of the people that we work with, they are both like contractors and developers and operating their own assets. So there is definitely a correlation between that. And because the sector in Israel is not huge, we do combine both Proptech and Contech together. Now, if we go to some numbers, today all over the world, there is about 10,000 Proptech companies. 2,000 of them are companies that are US companies. And in Israel, we have about 300 companies today. Now, if we look at the growth from 2016, where we found about 37 Proptech and Contech companies together, and today we have about 300, it's a growth of about 800% over these years. So I think that's very interesting. And this is only the beginning. I think there is a lot more to grow into. And I think people are still searching and finding what is the right approach. How do we implement? It's not so simple to implement a lot of times. And I think that's where there is sometimes a gap. Another thing is that in the recent year, we saw a huge growth in terms of the investment in Israel. Between 2015 to 2020, there was about $500 million that invested in Israel together. In 2021 alone, we saw more than $530 million that was invested in Israeli companies, which is a huge growth. I think that one major trend that we've been seeing is also the fact that corporates create an innovation arm. They bring a CTO, they create an innovation arm, and it's something that nobody can ignore. Everyone understands that they have to adopt, and we see it across the border, whether it's in the US or in Israel with big companies here. HLC is our umbrella brand, and in fact, Proptech 360 is the innovation arm. We are real estate players, owners in the US. We also have an innovative brand that we created. So you have to play all of it together to really understand the Proptech and become part of this ecosystem. And happy to be here again. Thank you, May, and handing you the rest of the conversation.
Thank you. Now we also have with us Alon Perez from Contech, which is a community and ecosystem that includes startup companies from all sectors of the construction industry. So they leverage the network power, and they have also an incubator working with academy and investors. And of course, Contech 4.0, their annual event, which is currently taking place right now. Yesterday, they had an amazing event that I must say was very successful in Tel Aviv. Alon, first of all, I'm happy that you found some time to join us here today in this hectic day, because I know you still have 2 more days to go for the event. I'd like you to give a few words on smart construction sites in Israel. I know that that's research that you've been working on, and on Contech trends that you can point out from this research that you're working on. Thank you.
So first of all, thank you for having me here, and I'm sorry I'm gonna do it roughly. So yeah, as you said, we had our Construction 4.0 event, and this year was really a huge stepstone because what is unique about Contech, we're a nonprofit organization. So we brought everyone we had people from Japan, from India, from Dubai, from the States, Canada, and etc. We had people from all over the world, corporates and technologies coming to Israel to talk about innovation. And I think that this year was a big stepstone because the number of corporates that came to Israel was really big. So you could really see and feel how much the community is willing to bring technologies into construction sites. Now regarding the research, I've been researching for Contech implementation of technologies in construction sites for the past 6 months. And yesterday in the conference, I presented a map that shows smart construction sites. Unfortunately, there is, and I think it's something that goes worldwide in general, not just in the tech community. We like to talk about what we don't have, especially in construction tech. We like to say we don't have technologies in the site, we don't have solutions working. And yesterday I presented a map with over 70 different projects in Israel, and it's still growing. We're adding data every day. And those 70 projects had at least 3 different technologies within them. Something is happening. People are doing it. People are bringing technologies into the sites. And the process is happening very successfully. And one of the things that I would like to share with you that I got to learn from analyzing the data on the map was the fact that for corporates that work both in, let's say, central cities where the pressure of the project and the need to build fast is bigger, when they wanted to implement technologies there, it's something that just didn't work because the stress to finish the job was bigger than the will to be patient and to bring in technologies. But those corporates in Israel, for example, they have projects in, let's say, areas in which the stress to finish the project is not as high. Then implementing technologies in those sites and then bringing it to the more complex sites where the stress is higher worked really, really well for them. So you can actually see outside of the large cities how technologies are being implemented over there. And it's kind of like pushing it towards the middle, towards the big towns and towards the projects over there. And that's really just, a rough overview of a 4-month research that is still happening. And yeah, a lot of things are happening. A lot of technologies are happening. And I think that every single one of you is willing to listen and to try new technologies is another huge stepstone for our community.
Alon and Avia, I know that you are working together also during Proptech 360. Can you give us a few words about that, about the cooperation between those two communities?
I'm happy. Yes, so I'm in touch basically with Tzachi, and we know each other for many years. Ecosystem is amazing, and we embrace the opportunity to work together. As Alon mentioned, it's true that a lot of corporates and private investors, VCs, coming to check out what's happening here. And I think the more you join forces, the more that is happening and is obviously better for the community here.
I definitely agree with that. Eventually working together brings us more power and more knowledge. And, as a community, we would like to see the future of the construction sites. And, we need to work together in some aspects to make it happen. So definitely agree with that.
Thank you both of you, and Alon, good luck with Contech in the rest of the few days that you get left. I see that Matt Contrelli has joined us. Hi Matt, how are you doing? Matt Contrelli is from the Government Affairs Director of Arizona Real Estate Association, Arizona Realtors. So now I'm gonna speak with you soon. Now this was the Israel ecosystem, and we want to move the Arizona one. So Israel is a quite small market. We all know and understand that. And the US is our first trading partner. We have 4 companies here that are already working on projects across the US that would be happy to hear about the potential of commercial real estate in Arizona. How is the market looking right now in regards to trends, prices, integration of technology? Please, Matt, we're with you.
Yeah. Muted. Nope, there we go. Thank you so much for having me. I apologize for the situation. My schedule got a little thrown upside down, but can you hear me okay?
Yes,
okay.
We hear you great.
So My name is Matt Connorelli. I'm the Government Affairs Director for the Arizona Association of Realtors. It's great to be here with you today. We are the largest trade association in the state, representing over 57,000 realtors, brokers, property managers, and affiliate members, both on the commercial and residential side, as well as vacant land. And in my job duties, I oversee all of our legislative priorities, making sure that our private property rights, our real estate market, our industry stays as strong as possible. And I can tell you that Arizona is continuing to make the progress that it needs to. We are dealing with a housing crisis in America where we're about 5.5 million homes short. And we need to spur development. We need to get bureaucracy out of the way. And to do that, last session, we formed a housing supply study committee. And that'll take several aspects into account, like rezoning, taxation, and other opportunities, and really come back to the legislature in 2023 and say, here's the need, here's how the market's changed, because it has changed. It's still a very strong market. We still have over 240 people moving to the Phoenix metro area a day, just alone. So we're growing really, really fast because of our competitive environment. And we're trying to make sure that we can keep up with that while addressing other issues like long-term water sustainability, and affordability. And that's where I think commercial comes into a big factor, because looking at how we use commercial, how do we evolve as an industry? How does construction evolve? And when I think back in my days when I was working with David Yari at the ACA, talking about things like Proptech and innovation that can help further us move things quicker, even little things in our industry like remote online notary, making sure that we're digitizing our industry as best we can is what we're trying to do. So I'm happy to, continue this conversation and really appreciate the interest in Arizona, and would welcome anybody to reach out, because we're going to see continued success here. And the partnership with Israel has been strong. I think it can even get even stronger because I believe in Mr. Yari's work. But we're really excited to see what comes in 2023 and the future.
Oh, sorry, I was muted now. Thank you, Matt. Really pleasure having you here with us today. I wanted to ask a bit about the amount of technology emergence in the Proptech and Contech sector that you see today in Arizona. How developed do you assess it? Like if it kind of, comparing to what you see in Israel. Do you think that you have more Proptech, more Contech? Do you see a lot of smart sites that are willing to accept and integrate new technologies?
Yeah, I think Arizona State University is, repeatedly the most innovative school in the country. And with partners like that in the state, and University of Arizona and Northern Arizona, both, and then even our community college, have really embraced that innovative spirit. And so I think that we're seeing Proptech and Contech catch up, because we also face some labor challenges, and that's where technology and innovation really helps bridge the gap. So whether it's manufactured housing or the management of the projects, it's all playing an important factor in, again, addressing the housing crisis, continued development, making sure that we're able to grow in a smart and sustainable way. And so I think, Israel gives us a run for our money, but I think we're doing really, really well out here.
That's good. That's what we're trying to do. Thank you, Matt. And also for the message in the chat. We're going to send emails of every one of the speakers later. Sorry for those. We're going to get a lot of emails and reach out from companies. So we'll do it later also in a follow-up email, so don't worry, we'll be able to speak with everyone. Now I'd like to move to discuss with the companies themselves. That's why we are all here, right? Please feel free to ask questions and jump into the conversation. We'll start from the from the bottom, from the Contech companies. So SiteAware is a company that uses drones, cameras, sensors to do digital construction verification and close the gap between plans and construction in real time. Doron, please.
Hi, you want me to present a couple about the company a little bit?
Go for it. Present, and then I have some questions, don't worry.
Okay, I'll do a quick presentation. We're tackling the problem of the difference between what is planned and what is built. So anybody that's in real estate knows that you start with a business plan and you move on to architectural plans, and then you try to get as much of that according to plan as possible. The reality is now that, on construction sites, all the digital plans and all the planning basically ends once you start building, and then you have gaps that form between what is actually built and what was planned. About 20% of the cost of construction today are resultant of rework, errors that happen throughout construction, and we're closing that gap by digitizing the process. We scan construction sites while they're being built and give feedback in real time to builders as to how close to plan they are, and we're talking about at the scale about a ½ inch. So we track every element that's in the plans and let them know that they've put it in this plan. What that does is enables them to achieve what's called first-time quality, which is an automotive term in terms of expectation that when you build something, you're building it right the first time, and that solves all the downstream issues. We work on the concrete section of construction, so the concrete frames, whether it's garden-style apartments or high-rise buildings or hospitals or commercial buildings, as well as the facades as they're building layer by layer, fully documenting and comparing constantly the construction to the plan. And that is a tool that we started to develop with Heinz, a developer, and they said to us, they started putting us on a lot of their big projects, including some projects in Arizona early on in 2019. And they said to us, make the GCs love this and we'll put this on every project. So now our main customers are general contractors, and we're seeing more and more developers that are starting to self-perform as well because of the difficulties of finding good construction partners coming to us as well. So it's really a full chain solution by tracking every element and making sure we know what's going on in the construction site and can adjust our process to make it work while we're building. This technology enables us to basically run faster, build better, and control our costs.
So Doron, we all know that 100% of real estate projects experience delays. Well, the companies that you're looking to partner are mostly construction companies. I guess you're also involved with holding companies and entrepreneurs because of this exact problem, such that we understand that the benefits in embedding your technology and how it rolls up to their pockets. Can you please elaborate more on this aspect? On the work with the entrepreneurs and holding companies, how they bring you into companies into projects?
So we work with a lot of major developers as well as kind of more regional, especially multifamily developers on the regional level. But companies such as Heinz have huge pre-con teams, and they're really involved in construction. So they're pushing us, Heinz, Brookfield, Tishman, related, those kind of companies. But we see a lot of, and they're bringing us to their GCs, and because they're wanting to get a better product, they're wanting to be able to ensure their process meets their schedule, their budget, and their quality needs, and that their asset is as valuable as possible, right? But we're seeing also a lot of regional companies. We have a strong presence in Texas and now a growing presence in California. And what we're seeing is regional developers, especially multifamily developers, having a hard time, in the market finding the right building partners, are reaching out to us and bringing us into their process to basically close that gap and be able to manage the process in a more predictable way that has less slack in it. The amount of contingency, the amount of overrun that's expected in construction can make construction less financially viable in a competitive market, and especially in a market where forces are changing, where if a year ago it was very hard to find good GCs that were available and good subs that were available. And if we go to a down market, that's going to change, and you're going to have tighter budgets and less viable projects maybe. So on both ends of that, being able to control the process, to see what's going on, and to cut out the slack that is making these projects more difficult to control is how we connect to our partners.
One of the main messages that the speakers in Contech yesterday talked about was the fact that construction sector is more traditional and not that keen to adopt technologies. And the innovation branch manager of Shapir, one of Israel's biggest construction companies, presented a slide on the average investments of general companies in R&D and new technologies. In many sectors, that average is around 20%. 20% of the funds of a company goes to invest in those type of activities, while in the construction sector, less than 1% is being invested in R&D and new technologies. So that's a question to you, and also for builders that will come up after you. How is it for you to raise money in that sector? How hard is it? What do you experience?
So I think BuildOts, who will speak in a minute, they raised an amazing round last year. So congratulations to them. We're heading towards a big growth round this coming year. I think there's some challenges that come from different aspects. The fact that construction and real estate, but specifically construction, is probably at the far end of the spectrum in terms of investment in technology, being very, very minimal, is an amazing opportunity for investment. It just means that we're very, very far from topping out on technology budgets. And I think that as challenges grow and as new generations lead in this industry, we're seeing a much different climate in terms of interest and ability to bring technology, as well as the need to bring in technology and the expectation. We see a lot of the younger generation of people in construction where there's a very huge challenge in hiring people today into construction and retaining them. The younger people are looking for the technology, and that's one side of it. And I think as younger leaders become older, obviously that appetite is growing. So I think we're in good shape there. I think it is difficult to bring technology into legacy industries, and I think that a lot of tech companies, a lot of startups are learning that the technology is an important piece of it, but the ability to really support existing workflows. The construction industry isn't going to change really fast to support a new technology. We have to learn how to bring those technologies into the industries and make it work in the way the industry is built. There's a lot of contractual relationships that aren't going to change anytime soon, and so we have to really apply our technology practices into those existing relationships. And I think the other challenge is, our major investments come from VCs, but we've had a lot of construction investments as well. A lot of our customers have invested in us, and it shows the appetite for the construction industry to actually start investing in technology. But I think that one of the challenges with the VCs is they expect they expect to see software style growth and revenue in construction, where in construction you are necessarily interfacing with the built environment. And I think there is a challenge there that I think that the venture community is going to have to learn a bit better how the construction industry works to tune their expectations for this early stage of growth of Contech. We're still kind of trying to figure out what Contech is. And I think the VCs are still trying to learn what it is. And so I think that's something that in a few years is probably going to straighten itself out as well.
Thank you, Doron. So Roy Danon from BuildOts, the CEO and co-founder of the company. I think I'd like you to present, the company and then also answer this question. And I promise that you'll get another one. Don't worry.
Yeah, sure. So BuildOts, what we do is we help construction companies and developers just get a better understanding of where the project is at compared to what they're planning, both in terms of designs and schedule. So different from SiteAware, we're mainly focused on everything that's happening in the inside, in the interiors, and mostly on the process efficiency and less on the quality side. We believe that you can make a process way more productive and efficient, but just making sure that you're always in control of what's happening. And the goal is really to help managers on site, outside of the job site itself, just understand about issues as early as possible, understand about pace drops, understand delays as soon as possible, and have all the data they need to actually make the decision on time. And we do so by leveraging AI and computer vision to analyze images coming off hard hat cameras in a way that is very passive and not intrusive to the current workflows happening on the construction site. I think that what Doron mentioned about tech companies needing to first adopt the current situation that's happening on the construction site and industry, and then trying to change is so important. And we've really made an effort to make things as suitable to what's currently happening today on the construction site, and give some hints to what can those companies do with the data.
Thank you, Roy. What do you think was the key to your success in the last rounds?
So I think what happened to us in the whole industry is that COVID really changed everything. Before COVID, we never believed we could sell to construction companies without actually being, visiting the construction site and shaking hands in person. And suddenly during COVID, we were able to close contracts with companies in Japan and Hong Kong and the US and many countries in Europe, because Zoom just became a necessity, and everyone just adopted to that. I think it really allowed us and many other companies to scale globally and create good traction with a relatively low effort and low investment. And that really kicked things off for Bilos, because we started selling just before COVID. And this really expedited our growth more than we expected.
Got it. Interesting. So you two are mostly involved in construction, and I'd like to point out on urban projects that are more sensitive than others to delivery time, such as school, hospitals, university buildings. As you mentioned in our earlier call, in this type of project, it seems that the clients are much more sensitive and want some type of control on timing. Can you share on your experience in those type of projects?
Yeah, so we are involved in a few hospitals and student dorms and schools, which all have very, very strict deadlines. And it's interesting because they can't be late. I mean, they usually are late eventually, but we're really trying to avoid it, and everyone else are as well. And I think the main thing we're helping them with is that usually construction projects, originally they have a schedule, but quite quickly everything gets off schedule. And it's hard to control and understand if you're actually going to end on time. And while construction sites work on a weekly basis, they plan week by week, we can actually help them understand if the progress in that week actually earns them enough value in what they're doing this week to actually finish the project on time. And even when you get off schedule a bit, you still need to make sure that you're doing that amount of work that is required in that week to finish on time. And we've seen great success in compressing schedules in those critical situations, just helping the construction companies and developers fully understand what is that thing that actually delays that project, what is the root cause, which is critical when it comes to taxpayer money. You're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
So now in the Proptech sector, let's hear from Cubic Solutions, from Matt Morrison, the Business Development Manager for North America. Matt, can you say a few words about the company, and in which stage do you plug in to a project? When should we give you a call?
Yeah, absolutely. How's it going, everybody? My name is Matt Morrison. As May introduced me, I am head of sales for North America for Cubic. And we primarily service architects and brokers in the commercial real estate space in the transaction phase of existing facilities. So generally in the process of developing test fits for brokers to help conceptualize what a space could be prior to its build out, is a really time-consuming process, and sometimes also very expensive for brokers and architects to manage and execute. And what we've developed here at Cubic is a platform where you can simply upload your undeveloped floor plans, set your requirements in a simple platform, and then basically submit your insights, and then our AI engines can essentially automatically and automatedly generate a variety of various test fits for your space. Conforming to all local design and building codes, electrical codes, and ensure basically faster turnaround times for what a space could look like to potential occupiers of said space, and shortening the cycle of transaction. When you've got a space, you've got to turn. And we're getting a ton of interest from not only brokers and architects to simplify their processes, but also occupiers when they're trying to reevaluate how they've got an existing space they're utilizing and perhaps want to reevaluate how to use it in the future as we move into more of a remote and hybrid work model into the commercial office space.
So I know that you're located in New York, right?
I'm based out of actually North Carolina.
Ah, okay. I'll be happy to hear a bit about your strategy in the US. If you have active projects, how do you vision Arizona in this strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. We are actively growing in all markets across the United States. We're primarily working from a more organic growth model and allowing individual interested parties, individual brokers to test out our solution and then slowly allow adoption through kind of general use and adopt, word of mouth kind of utilization. We're not trying to go from the top down, as most brokers don't typically like to be told what solutions and technologies they have to use to get their job done. And the way that we're using it right, the way that we're deploying it now is getting a lot of attention. And actually, what's interesting, our test fits are pretty robust. We actually generate a 3D rendering of the spaces that we generate. And we've actually been so successful in the solution that some of the occupiers that see our test fits and build outs have actually taken those plans, those CAD plans that we developed through our AI engine, and actually turn those into actual build outs. So without adjusting anything in our test fits, they're like, yes, this is exactly what we want, and really shorten the cycle from selecting a facility or a space they want to deploy in to actually starting the build out process.
Another issue which is becoming a big concern these days and is taken into consideration during the design and building of some is the sustainable aspect, such as natural lights, air conditioning. How can Cubic solutions help taking into consideration those kinds of aspects in the design phase?
Absolutely. So in your data submission process of submitting kind of what kind of space you want to be built out, there are a few different levers that you can select as far as priorities are concerned. Efficiency, maximizing space utilization, also increasing the total amount of natural light given to the space, reducing the requirement of equipment and light systems to provide that artificial light. And by basically dialing your priorities in that evaluation process, our AI engines can prioritize certain things to ensure that you're maximizing your efficiency or maximizing your daylight to ensure you're optimizing the space to be exactly built the way you want to maximize your efficiency on your building systems, but also ensuring highest level of comfort for your occupants.
Thank you, Matt. Lastly, I'd like to present Ben Shipley, the VP of North America Sales for Cool Automation. Ben, start with your pitch, and then we'll move to the questions.
Okay, nice to meet everybody. Glad to be here on this webinar. Talk to you a little bit about our company. Cool Automation develops and designs edge devices that connect and facilitate remote monitoring and management for HVAC systems within facilities. And this can happen either at the construction phase. It also can happen even in a retrofit situation as well. We fill some very specific niches, but effectively and succinctly, we are providing through the cloud and that connectivity and the computational power inherent in the cloud, we're able to get deeper into the actual overall performance of the HVAC system so that we can run analysis, do adaptive programming, all in the order to maximize the asset longevity of the HVAC systems, to enhance the sustainability of the facility overall. Of course, and most probably importantly, is to minimize the energy use of the HVAC system. As I'm sure many of you are aware, in a commercial building in particular, the energy profile for an HVAC system can be 40% up to 50% of the overall energy cost of that facility. So able to trim down that by another 15 to 20% can represent a substantial savings as well as a compelling marketing opportunity. So we provide the whole equation, the whole platform, from the device at the building all the way up to the cloud connectivity, and working with the architects, engineers, at the beginning to create the proper solution in that space.
So Ben, you talked about, I'm going to ask a question that refers to a different market, but I think that that's something that we'll see soon also in the US. So we all know about the energy crisis and the new regulations kicking in across Europe that are compelling some kind of commercial businesses, commercial compounds to limit their usage of energy. Are you starting to see more demand in those markets due to those regulations? Do you know what are the limits that you need to stand in, and then you need to operate in those limitations in Europe? And is it something that you think that will go to the US as well soon?
Yeah, so obviously the war in Ukraine in particular is a catalyst for a lot of energy volatility globally, particularly in, of course, in the EU area. So we absolutely see an accelerating demand for our kind of technology in the facility space. But that's not limited to the EU. That's also in the US market. So just recently, there's been a climb in kWh prices, 8% or more in the last 3 or 4 months. Some places even reaching another 15%. And that's projected to keep going long to medium term as well. So this volatility is going to continue. So right now, utilities are adapting to this and providing incentive programs for our kind of technology. So you can actually have this funded through either the utility partner or even government, state, municipal governments are also looking for opportunities to depress the demand on the grid. So they'll also provide incentives on that as well. So that provides a very compelling ROI. Usually our technology is less than a year before it pays itself off.
Interesting. So last questions for today before I open it to discussion. Since we're really agnostic to the HVAC equipment and can integrate and work with any installed system, I still tend to believe that there must be some advantage to loop you in during the design phase and not later. What can be like an exact reason to have you involved in the design phase and not after we ran into some problems in the air conditioning system?
Yeah, so thank you. That's a good question. So right now, we definitely specialize in the most efficient product in the HVAC space, which I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the tech. So I won't go too deep into the details, but it's called VRF, and it's a variable refrigerant flow system. And what makes it so efficient is it scales its demand based on the requirements in the space at any given time. And I'll just leave it at that. But what that represents overall is an additional 15 to 20% savings on top of any other chilled water system or any other kind of HVAC system out there. So at the beginning, being able to specify these kind of very specific type of HVAC systems and then coupling that with our technology will really represent a maximization on the overall savings of the building. And when we start moving into sustainability and the marketing opportunities, that also becomes very compelling as well, because this is a favorite in the Green Globes or LEED or USGBC requirements. This becomes a very prominent feature in the building and is able to be leveraged again for marketing opportunity as well.
Thank you, Ben. And now I think we can open it to discussion. If you have any question to ask any of the speakers that are here on the line with us, we also have David Yaari, which represents Arizona Economic Development Office here in Israel, and is supporting companies, Israeli companies that are looking to expand into Arizona. So please feel free to ask your questions. I saw that most of you already sent their details in the chat, which is amazing. Thank you. David, anything you'd like to add?
First of all, I want to thank Mai, who's been an incredible partner, both for Arizona and also for the Federation of Israeli Chambers of Commerce. So we look forward to doing these kind of things together. And what I will do is Matt, who had to fly urgently, but it was critical for him to be on the call. He and I spoke before, and he wants to make sure that companies who have specific questions and want connections, he mentioned 57,000 realtors who are part of the Arizona Realty Association, but
to contextualize what's happening in Arizona, there are, as of 2022, about 270 people moving in every day into the state. It's one of the fastest growing states in America. And so the solutions and the need for both Proptech and Contech, both on the commercial and on the residential side, are booming. And so this is a great time to capitalize and find the right kind of partners as you're looking at solutions. Especially, I heard from Cool Automation, it can get hot in Arizona, and so finding solutions to optimize these are the right kind of opportunities for you to connect. So feel free after this call. We'll be in touch both through and in general, but I encourage people to reach out to our office. As Kevin mentioned at the beginning, I work directly with Kevin and a team of over 120 colleagues who are sitting in Arizona working to expand the state's capacities. And Mara is a partner at the Arizona Israel Technology Alliance, and her colleague Nitzan in Israel. And so we work closely. It's a nice team environment in Arizona. You all hear of the Phoenix Suns, but we work well collaboratively. So please feel free to reach out directly after this call.
Thank you, David. Always a pleasure working with you. Anyone else from the audience that would like to raise any point, ask questions before we wrap up? Okay, so I'm going to thank you all for being here and joining to this event. Also, of course, for the companies that came and presented. Want to thank Avia from Proptech 360, Alon that is not with us now from Contech, Mara from AITA, David, Matt from Realtors. Again, everyone will send the connection details and a few words about each organization later on. And we really encourage you to connect with the organizations that are fostering trade and relations between Israel and Arizona, and in general between Israel to the US. We are always here for you in any question and any support that we can give. And thank you again for coming and listening this morning or this evening to the event.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you. Pleasure. Take care.
Thanks all.